The American pilot flew his fighter plane to scare his comrade, who picked up a stick and signaled the pilot to do it again if he had the guts to do it. The pilot let out a wry smile. He immediately flew his fighter plane into a dive, and as a result, the plane suddenly lost control of itself. The pilot crashed and killed his comrade. He blamed himself very much. Then he flew the plane straight into the Rocky Mountains. John looked at this horrible scene, the idea of retirement in his mind. But the US Army, in order to have enough pilots to fight against the Luftwaffe, set a military rule that only crazy people can apply for retirement. But this application must be filed by the person himself. However, once you make an application, it happens to prove that you are a sane person, which becomes an unbreakable paradox. And if you want to retire, you can only complete 25 flights. But at this time, John did not know that the 22nd military rule also stipulates that, as a soldier, you must be absolutely obedient to orders, so superiors can keep increasing the number of flights, and pilots may not disobey. Because the Luftwaffe was so powerful in World War II, the American pilots did not survive more than 10 days. John saw his comrade's bomber blown to pieces by a shell during his 16th bombing mission, and the death of his best friend right in front of his eyes made John feel very devastated, and all he wanted to do was to complete the remaining 9 missions quickly and retire from military service, never to go to war again. But luck would not always be in his favor. On his 24th mission, his plane was hit by a German anti-aircraft gun, injuring a vital part of his body, so John parachuted out of the plane to save his life. After careful medical treatment, John was soon discharged from the hospital, and he approached his superior officer to apply for retirement on the grounds of his injuries. However, the officer told him that according to the 22nd military rule, only the mentally ill can recover and go home, and that applying for discharge for injuries can only be considered as desertion. John had no choice but to obey the military rule and went to complete the last bombing mission. But just after arriving at the mission site, the bomber's engine was hit by a shell, and his best friend, the machine gunner, had his legs blown off, and it was too late for him to take the first aid measures. And John once again watched his best friend die in front of his own eyes.